Okay, so this is Ananda, Portland, and they converted a church. We already showed this one, right? No. Okay, some of you have seen this one, those who came on last Thursday, but I'll say what that is. So they converted a church into their temple, a Christian church, and what I was saying on Thursday was that the head acharyas there, the husband, his name is Daiva. Daiva and Gangamata are the acharyas there. And Daiva was a builder. And so he helped do the converting of the building. We just walked through their boutique, which would be our boutique back there. And you can see the temple. A lot of the Ananda centers, see those chairs, have done a lot of research into the ideal chairs to have in their temples so that you can really sit up straight and have a good meditation. I dare say these blue chairs were a great start, but at some point we will probably have some really comfortable chairs. And you can see that sweeping arch that's common throughout all of the Ananda centers to have some type of an arch like that representing sweeping up to God. This is in Seattle. So can you pause it? So in Portland, my sister lives near there. So when we visit my sister, we get to go visit Portland. Now my mother lives in Washington State in Seattle. This is in the upper northwest corner of the U.S. And so you can see the trees. There's a lot of green, a lot of trees. This is one of two temples of light that we have. There's the parking lot. There's the view that everybody has. You can just kind of see how Washington State is very much into lots of trees. There's lots of space. And we're there during the day, so no one else was there. So this temple of light, you see the blue tiled roof, and then a cupola of glass on the top. See that? And can you pause it for a moment?
What shape is that?
The cupola? It's like a crown in a way, you know, one of those maybe. I wanted to mention, the other Temple of Light is in Assisi, Italy. And when we went there for Swamiji's passing, people who had nothing to do with Ananda saw light shooting out of the top of this cupola into the sky. Rays of light, this is at nighttime, rays that they had never seen. They said it felt a bit like fireworks, that there were sparkly lights all over. Many people in the temple saw sparkly lights, so just a very special time. These temples of light we're hoping to build everywhere. So they want to build one at the village, they want to build one in Pune, they'd love to build one in Delhi, and of course we would have one here someday. So as you, this is an interesting design. They all have a slightly different design, and we're coming around to see this one. Okay, so can you pause it for a sec? So this specific one, you walk upstairs, there's the temple, and below is what they call kind of their teaching center and boutique area. So it's a very interesting design. In Assisi, it's just the temple part. There's nothing below. But in this, it had a very perfect hill that they could build into. So when you walk up into the temple, and we'll see how much we can see it from this video, it's like being in a tree house because it's up above, and so you're with the trees. You're not seeing their trunks, you're seeing all their leaves. Down below, they have classrooms, they have the restrooms, they have a yoga room, they have a boutique, that type of thing. This is walking in the bottom part. So you can see they have their free literature on either side. There's the reception desk. There's me. There's my mom. Oh. There's a bust of Master. So then you walk up the stairs. Many Ananda temples have this blue carpet. Now, of course, this is America. Who has carpet here? We don't need it. See those chairs? Very similar, only blue. Instead of gold.
That carpet Swamiji chose from India. Came from Gurgaon.
So then you walk in. They were having their noontime meditation. There's Dharmarajan's hand. And you see their altar. Do they have backlit pictures of the masters also? So their pictures of the masters aren't backlit. You'll see another temple at the village that has their pictures backlit, meaning the photos were etched on glass and there's a light box behind that lights them up. And the spiritual eye does have a light box behind it, so you see a spiritual eye. There's looking up into the cupola. You can't see the paint job, but it's opalescent. It shines. And they said, it holds about 200. I would say 200 to 250, depending on how many you. If they're sitting on the floor versus the chairs.
Seem familiar?
And they have statues, big statues of the masters. See, there's Master Sri Teshwar was on the other side. They have their big TV also. There, is that Preman? That's the head acharya there, Preman, and his wife, Padma. Yeah, so you can see the trees, just like the tree house, you know. Area. They sell harmoniums, they sell CDs and books, statues, ortiz, some devotee clothes, hats. We may want to sell those hats.
Yeah.
Offices, that's right. Some people's offices are there. Preman and Padma and a few other people. This is a classroom. So they can have classes in the temple, or they can have classes in a couple classrooms. And there's also a yoga room in here. There's a deck outside, a patio, where you can be with the trees, have a cup of tea, Master, Swamiji. Very nice. That statue was designed in Italy.
And this is a unique one, I think.
It's very unique.
Yeah, it's not actually,
It's not the same one?
we haven't, I don't think so, but I'm not sure.
Huh.
It could be the same. So, this is actually, speaks for itself. It's this
Let's
is,
not do this one next. You have to?
Yeah.
Okay, okay.
So this is the Moksha Mandir. Do you want to just say?
I'll be right back. Those things.
This is the dedication of the Moksha Mandir, which many of you saw the photographs that we showed right after it happened. But what we weren't able to show was Ananda India's part of the thing because we were in it, so it was hard to try to take a picture like this. So we wanted to just show you this is an abbreviated version of what that part was.
And we also want to let you know that when we do the blessing today, we have 2 gifts for everybody. This is something everybody who participated in the ceremony got one of these. It says, I believe there is a string that ties us to everyone that we have loved. I love everyone, Swami Kriyanandaji. So there's that. And also, these are rose petals that were, you see the bust of Swamiji? All those petals, they made available. So we took a bunch, brought back. So everybody gets a little baggie of petals that have been blessed and this thing. So we'll give that at the
So that
blessing.
petal was there. I mean, you're going to be able to see.
So you get to be a part of it.
And just if you're not familiar with the Moksha Mandir, that's that poster that's there in the corner. It's building the final resting place for Swamiji's body.
And there's a little brochure back there too. If you feel to make a donation, take that brochure. And they were hoping that everyone might be interested, even if it's a small donation, so that everybody is participating in some way. So if you want to do that, you can contact us. It doesn't have to be, 2 lakhs or something like that. It can just be a small amount, just so that your energy is a part of that as well.
And we did have a few donations from Ananda Chennai before this was done. So Ananda Chennai was already represented in that way. And then, of course, it's nice if everybody who feels to could be a part of it.
I'd like to invite now the representatives from Ananda, India to come forward. This is Lata Gupta, who came. She and her husband Shishir are instrumental in the Pune city community and the Pune community, and she's flown in for 1 day to be with us. Sadhana. Jai and Sadhana.
Just before that, just take a look at that view that is out there. There's a valley of trees and a river that runs, and the river is called the Yuba River. It's very similar to the Ganga. It's very much a life force stream that goes through there, and in the summertime we go and swim there. So anyway, just wanted to make sure you see that beautiful view while they're talking.
And that's Nayaswamis Jaya, many of you know, spiritual director of Ananda India, and his wife Sadhana Devi.
And Dharmini and Dharmarajan are the center leaders in Chennai, doing a wonderful service there, and Dhyanji, And they will lead us in a special ceremony, which Jai will explain.
I wish to invite you to join us in this fire ceremony. During this ceremony, we will be chanting 2 mantras, the Gayatri mantra and the Mahavitramjaya mantra. And during the performance of the ceremony, we will be offering ghee and rice into the fire. The Gayatri mantra is a mantra prayer for enlightenment, and the Mahavitramjaya mantra is a prayer mantra for liberation. I'll begin by first lighting the fire, and I would like to ask all of you to please stand.
Each mantra will only be said once, just for the sake of time.
He edited it.
The full video is online if you want to see all
You can
7.
see the whole thing online.
This whole thing and then also the whole thing. I saw the light.
As we chant these mantras together, I will be offering into the fire during the Gayatri Mantra ghee as a symbol of our pure aspiration. And during the Mahamitram Jaya Mantra, I will be, along with the others here, will be offering rice into the fire as a symbol of our karma, which will be burnt up and purified and lead us to our liberation.
There were probably about 200 people there.
Om Tatsavitarvaraniyam Margo Devasya Dhimani Dhiyo Yonaha Prachodyato. Sagandhim Pushtivardhanam Urvarukamiva Bandhanam Mrityurmukshiyamamritat Swaha. Om Swaha. Om Swaha. Om Swaha.
In India, the cracking of a coconut is traditional at pujas, inaugurations, groundbreakings, and dedications. It symbolizes the annihilation of the ego and humbling oneself before God. It affirms that truth, that God is the doer and we are merely His instruments. I'll ask Jayaji to crack the coconut now.
The coconut water on the area where it will be built.
We also have sacred holy water from the Ganges that I will sprinkle in all directions as purification. Let's close by chanting Om together. Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. You can be seated.
That was just a little taste of that ceremony. So go online if you want to see the whole thing. All the colony leaders and representatives came down a path into their master's Murti, or Swamiji's Murti was carried with all the flowers. It's just a very deep ceremony, and Swamiji was very, very present. You could feel how pleased he was. You could feel Master's presence very deeply in that ceremony. It felt as though Swamiji was right there. It felt like very much like a Swamiji event. Say it again?
The earth that was put into that box came from every center throughout the world. Each one of the representatives brought soil from their colony and put the soil in the box. to the foundation part. And all the messages that those of you who gave to Swamiji were in the box that Gita was holding up later in the ceremony. If you haven't given a message yet, you can do so online, and there's still time for it to go in. But they're going to finish in a few months. The dedication is in 1 year, but the building itself will be built even now. You can go on Facebook and see the progress, but we'll get to that. We wanted to jump ahead first to So this is a very brief video of the center in Gorgan. It's part of a community center from DLF Phase 2, for those of you who are familiar with Gorgan. And so the ground floor is a general hall for weddings or whatever it is for the community itself. The upper floor has been given to Ananda Gorgan. And when I was visiting and posted a photo, Diana wrote on Facebook, "So glad that you both could spend time in your Gorgan home." And she would say that to any of us. That's the way to think of it. This is your Gorgan home. This first room is their main hall.
Chairs.
That is the original painting.
It's on the cover of the Bhagavad Gita.
And
Dana.
Swamiji purchased it from Dana, and then after his passing, it remained in Gorgan.
So this is a smaller classroom?
This is the main temple. Those pictures are backlit, but they're not turned on at the moment. This is now coming back out from that room, and to the left here, this is offices and the boutique. And then looking around to the side, they have actually yoga asana classes there every morning, I think. That is another classroom that I didn't get a video of, a smaller classroom. That other room door is the kitchen, and this last is Dianaji's office, and also a counseling room and a smaller classroom as well. I was in a bit of a rush, so you see the Okay.
So this is our retreat center, which you saw very well at on Living Happiness, Finding Happiness. Trees, I think this is showing, that's the entrance. There's an office that you come into, register. Oh, it's going to the office. I worked here for a year before we went to India the first time. There's Krishna Das.
You want to say hi to Chennai?
Namaste. Namaste, Janadi's in Chennai. I hope to visit here someday.
This is California, at Ananda Village. This is the retreat center there.
Come here.
Oh, they are painting with that.
So, this is, that's a Babaji poster, that painting that we will bring back sometime to have in our boutique. This is their very large boutique. Most of the items there are made in India and sent there.
But do we have all this we got in some center in India, is it?
Say again?
Just sent from here. Like
Hi.
Indian product.
Well, there's
This is
critique of
good enough.
expanding light. So over here we have clothing seeing all kinds of things that would interest you. I'm sorry you can't come here and buy something. But I hope you enjoy your little tour with this lovely camera.
No, the items are sourced from different places in India. It's not that
Not just India.
it's not an
Oh.
India warehouse that then.
There are also,
Okay.
many people also have businesses, photography, this or that, and they sell their items in the boutique as well.
But we do have boutiques, of course, in Pune, Pune,
Yeah.
also in Chennai.
That's the patio. When you get your lunch, you can sit outside if you would like. The weather was beautiful that day. There's a very beautiful fountain in the front like this. This is the courtyard. I guess the lens is a little dirty. We're about to walk into the dining room and office area. But first we go into the dining room. So this is where meals are. This is where someone said shh to Juliet
Oh,
in the
yeah.
movie. It's a very clean and sattvic space. There's the kitchen. It's a really large, great kitchen with every perfect pan and knife you would ever want to prepare anything you would want. Oh, they were And then we're walking out of the dining area into the temple area. So where Dharmarajan is right now, you take your shoes off there. And then here's the temple there. This is where Juliet was saying at the end her speech, and everybody was there in the room with her, and she was choked up with tears. They hold most all their classes and sadhanas and yogasanas
What kind of chairs are those? They fold
in there.
up.
They had folding chairs.
Is it regular folding chairs or
Yeah.
the ones which?
They have a little bit of padding,
Okay.
a little bit of the blue material with a
right,
little bit of
right.
padding. Not a lot of padding, but a little bit. And they're nice because they can stack up against a wall, and for a smaller place like this, it's better to have that kind of a thing.
For those of you who had blessed items, or this was when they were blessed, I don't know if you saw, I had your heel crunching, it's the bag in my hand of all the things to get
Yeah,
blessed.
so those, oh, here's the back door to the temple. It's
There's
going
the bag
out.
of stuff.
So you can just see the beautiful, peaceful place. You can hear the crunching. He's eating potato chips. Maybe I should say Buddha. Beautiful rocks. When you're in a place like that, your mind can really relax. And you're in master's vibration. And so you feel as though your vibration merges with the environment. You feel very protected, safe, beautiful trees.
It's a great place to live.
The altitude is about 2,000 feet.
Sorry, I
Well, we're going
He wasn't quite looking.
He decided to cut the mantras, but not the walking, but we get to hear all that. So this is called the Lahiri Temple. And so it's dedicated to Lahiri Mahashaya. It's just a small, nice little temple.
The Moksha Mandir will be about this size also.
Is it? Just very simple. The architecture at Ananda is very simple, but very sattvic. Very sattvic.
This was the first murti we ever had of any of the gurus.
Yeah.
For the longest time, it was the only one we had. The reason I kept in some of the walking is I wanted to give you
You
a
can
sense
see
of
the-
space.
Yeah, the
Because
beautiful.
if you just see building, 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 you don't really get that same feel. This next sequence goes on about an hour.
So this is called Lotus Lake. That's right. And lotuses are there, and frogs, and geese, ducks. Is anybody out there? It's like someone's swimming around. There's the beautiful lotuses. Nice. Very similar to what we have on our altar. You can walk around the lake, and on the other side there are places you can meditate on the other side.
This is the adventure part of the video.
This is so Dharmarajan met up with the woman who has the goats.
Oh.
She's driving him. Many people have electric cars there. They're like golf carts. And so during the good weather.
I drove. This is me driving. That comes up later.
Oh.
Yeah.
This is Dharmaraj driving very unsafely.
I wasn't driving like this. I held the camera. But I just thought you'll really get to
Yeah.
see the village this
Yeah,
way.
this is coming out of the retreat center.
You saw aerial shots of Juliet's yellow truck taking her to and from. This is that road.
You're going quite fast.
It looks like I am.
There's the retreat center sign.
That's the main road.
So you drive. So the retreat center is in the front part of the property. Now he's driving into the residential part. And again, you see the lots of space, just lots and lots of space. It's 800 acres.
800 hours. Wow.
Swamiji bought it in the 60s, so it didn't cost that much back then. And this is the joy symbol. You'll see
Yes.
that on a lot of our literature. And they talk about it in the movie. And you get to see that in the movie. David explains it to Juliet in the movie. We're going to the post office and Master's Market. So this is kind of like the town center, if you want to call it a town. Right here on the right is Benai. He's a really good jeweler. He's the one that's made these things, not these, but these rings, earrings, all sorts of things. This is where our post office is. It's not really a post office, but it has everyone's mailbox. There's a thrift store there. There is a market where we can buy fresh vegetarian food. So you see there's a vegetable area. A lot of it has vegetables from the garden, the big farm that we have there. Then you see your standard vegetarian things. Those are bulk items, nuts, herbs, dal, dal, lentils. Hey, okay, do you know Brian? That's Brian. That's
This is the market. You can go out to live here in a looking environment. And you get a chance.
Namaste, dear ones. I hope that you're having a beautiful day. It's a wonderful day here
He manages
at
market.
Basker's Market. And I'm Gopal, and I hope to see you one day, very soon. Guru. This was that little statue out in front, commemorating when Master gave the speech. The thousands of youths must go north, south,
See,
east, and west.
and that's a different bust than the one that we saw
Yes, correct.
before. Oh, all done through the spring? Okay.
There's a play structure for the kids, the thrift store is there,
Back
and
there.
the village office itself, the reception area for deliveries and welcoming.
The guy who makes the bangles was in that building that we just saw. His name is Kent. Not the Indian bangles. That's a different guy.
This very cool.
It's,
Not that big.
that's a big area. They'll often have, yeah, we're about to pass the farm, but before the farm, it's an area, sometimes people play volleyball out there, sometimes we'll have fairs out there, or all sorts of things happen. The farm is to the right. Oh,
There are little speed bumps.
oh, that's right. Yeah, to prevent you from speeding, they have the speed bumps there.
I did clean the windshield, the windscreen, but after the show, unfortunately.
There's a little frog pond to the right where turtles live and frogs. Okay, so this is the office park. It's called Rajasi Park. It's where Ananda Worldwide is. It's where the office is for Ananda Worldwide. It's where Crystal Clarity Publishing is. It's where Web Services is, IT. But then, this is Hansa Temple with the roof, the famous roof.
Oh, yes.
This is another area where the malas and the photos got blessed.
For those of you who are aware of that, we brought malas and bracelets and had them blessed at
And
these
photos.
different places.
Different people had photos.
And if you liked the malas, those same malas and bracelets are for sale here.
Yeah. If you didn't get your own mala blessed, you can buy some in the boutique. All the malas there are blessed. So this is just where people take their shoes off. The time for finding God has come, for knowing God has come. There's another of the same Morty of Master. And there's Sri Teshwar on one side and Paramahansa Yoganamaji on the other.
It's also back.
Large statues.
The pictures are all back there.
They are backlit. Yes.
On the altar, these are the ones that are backlit. Doesn't show up very well on the camera. They're very clear. And Swamiji is on the altar because of his birthday. Normally he is not on the altar at his request. He said, please don't put me on the main altar with all the masters. There's again that arch. There's another altar. And many things are blessed there. Up there, those are the office buildings.
Straight ahead is crystal clarity, as you would say.
Now we're going to Crystal Hermitage, which is, no. Oh, okay, here's the fun.
Through those trees, you can see Master's Market, and we're just going around that big green area. That's the temple from the front. Originally it was a publications building where all the books were published, printed and published, and later converted into a temple. Swamiji gave so many services, talks, everything in that Hansa temple and the first temple, the Expanding Light temple. First on the video, second in history. All of these meetings with people were not scheduled or rehearsed, obviously. They were just spontaneous, and it was very sweet how God provided them all. Because I thought it shouldn't just be buildings.
Okay, so goats and chickens are there
For eggs.
for eggs only. In the U.S., eggs are not necessarily non-veg. There's Verani. She's the one that says, yeah, go now.
I never know that. Before we just put them under the other day, they'd always be under the tree when we come to that. Now I have to hunt one. There's the little boy right there.
Right there.
I first met him, he became easy go. I thought he was good at it first night. Last name is East Brother.
Oh.
Is
And this little girl too.
Gonna tell the
Her name
story?
is extraordinary.
They were born
Okay.
paralyzed.
This year,
Okay.
that way I know all the
She didn't think they would live.
Okay.
It's a really touching story.
She didn't think they would live. In fact, she said, in a farm, when you have this kind of thing happen, and the baby is crippled, I mean, it can't survive. And it will also impede the whole herd. So she told her assistant, we're going to just have to give them a humane death. And her assistant was new to farming and said, I can't. We will find like a home where the crippled baby goats go to. And so she tried to find some kind of shelter, preserve, anything. And it took about, she said, well, you have about a week. So 10 days later, the woman said, I haven't been able to find anything. And so Hirani said, well, listen, I'm sorry, but it's a hard part of farming, but it's just the way life is. And the next morning, the baby started walking. And so that's why she's so excited also, because it was not only a miracle, but now you'll see them still stiff a little bit, but they're using their legs. she talks about, I think in this, I'm not sure what I cut out, but she said she had to hold them up to their mother for them to feed. And now they're able to stand and eat. So she was really blown away by that miracle.
And it's a dairy. You know,
Yes, sir.
it's not for meat. And so
Okay.
they make
Yeah.
cheese, they have the goat milk, a lot of goat products.
No, Stan wasn't that good at all. That was
These two weren't paralyzed. These two little ones.
This is one of the
There they
ones.
are. Look, now she can even stand, and here's from her mama. You can see her back end still needs a little work, but she's afraid to, that looks so much more normal.
Wow. Meanwhile, I was getting sniffed from behind. Right?
That's Elijah and Elvis.
This one is Elvis here.
Yes.
Look at you and Elijah.
Elijah.
Hi.
Can you pause it for a sec?
That's good, I think so.
You know, one thing you notice also is when you treat animals as though they are, you know, conscious beings and not just herded around stupid animals, you know, sometimes people, that they respond and they become loving and you get to know their personality and, you know, so these goats have a higher consciousness probably than a lot of goats that might just be ignored on some farm. As you saw, they're all named, they're loved. They come up to her and say, hello, how are you today? And they get pets. So they're happy goats, so they produce happy food also.
Prettiest girl.
Oh.
It's like she has eyeliner around.
Goats love rocks.
That's not your mama.
They even climb the mountain.
I think she's the only one that's other than that.
And there's the donkey that takes care.
Little rabbit.
So they help keep the fire danger down. Before they had to mow all of that mechanically. Now the goats, they eat the raspberry bushes, the blackberry bushes, everything.
This just Bert wanted to be in the movie.
A random friend.
This is going to the Crystal Hermitage. These blocks here are all going to be part of the retaining wall that supports the building. So, you know, in a year when the building is built, this will suddenly be, you know, a moment in history because those were the blocks that went into the building.
We used to live in a little housing development that he's going to pass.
I almost went off the road, no, I'm just kidding. It just looks that way because the camera goes like this. And as Dharmini said, that's to the left there is Ayodhya where we lived right before we came here.
How do people move around there inside? Does
They
everybody
hike
have
or they drive.
Just about everybody has a car or half a car they share. To the right you can't really see it, but it's where Jyotish and Devi's house is.
Everybody's getting seasick.
Yeah, you can always close your eyes. That is the lower parking lot where Swamiji would come and go from. And also, if you saw, there were more retaining wall blocks there.
We need to get you one of those camera stabilizers. There's a picture of the workshop on here. This is what they open in the movie.
This is Welcome to
Oh,
Crystal
yes.
Hermitage.
So this is called Shrine of the Masters. It has a big boutique, well, not a big one, but it has a boutique, but this is where they sell these murtis and also the large ones. And then behind, in the same building, you go through the boutique, is another kind of mini temple that actually has relics of all our masters, plus Ananda Ma. So it has a cane from Swami Sri Yukteswar, and it has shawls and a harmonium that Master gave Swamiji, and just a lot of things. Probably a bowl and cup that was Master's. We have Lahiri Mahashaya's, some urn that Babaji gave Lahiri Mahashaya. So through our association with the people who are part of Master's family and part of Tulsi Bose's family, we were able to acquire many of these things. And so when you meditate in that temple, very powerful. And that's why we have our things in here also that belong to Swamiji. His shoes, a shawl, and also the head mat where his head laid. So you can always meditate with a piece of Swamiji in that way, his vibration.
That's Jyotish and Devi's house.
David's house.
Great view from
Yes. There's a little pond. In the movie, people were doing yoga postures and meditating on that pond.
That is Jyotish and Devi's grandchildren, who were not expecting to be in the film. And the one regret I had when having these things blessed at the different temples was that, in the old days we would have asked Swamiji to bless them. And naturally then we would want Jyotish and Devi to bless them. So also there's that living contact also. And oh well. And so right after this moment, Jyotish and Devi came walking through. And so I interrupted them and said, could you please bless these things also? So they were very happy to. They were very glad because they feel a special connection with Chennai. They had a very lovely visit here meeting you all.
You can see the beautiful view. There's the little temple. It's styled after it's called the Portiuncula in Assisi, Italy.
Who is this? This also comes in the movie.
That's in the
yeah.
movie. See, it's all
all real.
stuff we already know.
They didn't take the movie set down after this.
Very
Is this the one where he says it's built up to the feng shui or
St. Francis.
the Vastuism? That's
Oh, no.
That's
That's
a
a different house.
That's someone's private home.
This is where he says thousands of tulips come and you should be here when the
Okay,
tulips.
that.
So we have many years of walking down there to go to Swamiji's apartment and have meetings.
There's always an excitement going down these stairs.
Yeah.
You remember you're going to see Swamiji. To the right, it's not easy to see, But this right here is where Swamiji is sitting in this picture.
There's a fountain behind him.
So you'll see that when you see the rocks behind, it's right there. Normally the water is running. I filmed it just so you could see where he had been sitting. The tulips are also a wonderful way that people from outside Ananda who have no connection or interest about any of these things can come and enjoy and connect with the community.
This is where all of Swamiji's meals were prepared for a long time, many, many, many years.
Very strong vibrations throughout the whole house. This was built onto Swamiji's dome house. This is an addition to the original dome.
Many public functions are held on this level of the Crystal Hermitage.
Just about all the furniture is from India, if it looks familiar, mostly from Kashmir.
So here's the backyard, where that's the roof to Swami's apartment, which is down below.
And this is,
That's
may
a
look
swimming pool.
familiar, this is where the Moksha Mandir thing took place, what you just saw.
It's just a little tiny swimming pool. It doesn't really get used much. There's the building site where the red netting is. Okay, there's the backhoe.
That's where we all broke the ground. That little pile of dirt was at the...
Did they show that on the video?
That wasn't in the video, it's in some of the photos even haven't really come out yet, but that was the actual putting the spade to earth.
When the event was over in this front part, we all walked down to the ground, and each of the representatives, we all took a thing of dirt,
Full of shovels.
broke the ground. So everybody took turns. And then after that was done, everybody who was involved came down and broke the ground. So oh, okay. So here is where, this is kind of the original dome of the Crystal Hermitage. And so every group meeting happened there. And then after that, we had lots and lots of satsangs with Swamiji there, lots of really nice meditation. When Swamiji's body arrived from India, his casket was in there, and the temple was open for people to go and meditate with him. Now this is going into the lower area, his apartment where he lived. There's also a recording studio down there that I myself got to go into when I was going to say when I was a kid. I actually do play flute on one of the CDs, but we would often have music rehearsals down here, and Swamiji would be there and give us feedback on the songs, on the music that we were playing. We did lots of concerts in that backyard. And this is an office of his.
This is probably, I was thinking, the first video of this place. Because when Swamiji lived there, obviously we weren't walking around. But also, I don't know if it's been filmed yet, because when you're there, people go there and meditate there. So,
Yeah.
you know, you could have been a part of Ananda for 40 years, but if you didn't have a chance to go here, you never would have seen this
And
place.
you can now go into this apartment and meditate here. So here's his office where he did his composing and writing books. Actually, his composing was usually done at a keyboard, which might be around there. I guess that's the original typewriter.
That's Swamiji's own
He
painting.
did that painting himself.
It's in Whispers from Eternity. It was his original painting for Whispers from Eternity.
That's just wallpaper that looks like trees. So here's his apartment. He didn't want to show that. If he would have gone straight, it's Swamiji's meditation temple. Here's Swamiji lying in the casket. There's his restroom. So, beautiful view. And towards the end of his life, he had to have one of those bathtubs that had the doorknobs that he could walk into and not have to climb over. These are all of his possessions that he left behind that are now part of the vibration there. This is his bedroom. Again, beautiful views. There's a bathroom. He often relaxed in a robe. The Yuba River is down below. What a beautiful day.
Do they have a good internet connection in this place?
Yeah.
They do.
In fact, well, now they do. It's gone through lots of different iterations. They actually, so when we were there, we heard they were going to lay fiber optics. And so they had DSL. The reason why they had such good internet was because people do telecommuting there. So they work from their home and need a good connection. But the way it happened was a guy moved there who actually worked for a telecommunications type, a DSL type place. And so he got the whole village connected. And then just, who knows how or why, but it's only Divine Mother, the main carrier decided to lay fiber optics along the main road that you really don't see hardly anybody living off of that, but for some reason they did that. So now the village is connected with fiber optics, so it has, you know, basically an infinite bandwidth. But many people depend on the internet for their jobs.
Swamiji loved that artist. And many paintings of his are throughout the room.
And this is the murti that was carried in the ceremony. You can sit and meditate with that murti. It's not a bad liking of him. And this is his living room where he usually met with people. We sat many a time at his feet right there. And also, we would all gather in there and watch movies together sometimes. It's a very high efficiency fireplace, which you need.
And those 3 paintings above are paintings that Swamiji did. So. Sometimes you'll see hawks and big birds circling high above the valley floor, but you're standing above them, so you see them below you, and then they go higher and higher. In the cooler weather, Swamiji would eat inside, and that's his table and his things. In the warmer weather, he would sit outside like you saw him in the movie.
Nobody lived there, no?
No, they want to preserve it as a place to visit, to pilgrimage, have pilgrimage. So you go through the door.
This is where he meets Juliet for the first time.
Yeah, that's the patio. And there's the Morty of Master, and that's the area where he's buried for now. Oh, so right in front of Master, it's US law that when someone passes away and is in a casket, they need to be interred. They need to be under the ground or in a tomb or something. You can't just have the casket out. So as a temporary resting place for that, he's right there under the grass in front of Master. And then that's going to be transferred to below. The temple will be built on top of, the new Moksha Mandir will be built on top of Swamiji. There's Becco.
So that's where the Moksha Mandir will be, right where that pile of earth is. And as Dharmini said, the building will be, basically have a lower level and an upper level. The lower level you won't go into, but that's where the casket, the coffin will be. And it's the upper level where people will meditate and so on. So in a way it was special to be here on the grass and have those things blessed there, because they're in a certain way the closest they'll be to Swamiji's body before then it's moved into the Moksha Mandir.